The wild true story behind Good American Family. Good American Family, out on Hulu, is inspired by the dramatic but real story of Natalia Grace, who lives with a rare form of dwarfism. In 2012, her adoptive parents said Grace was an adult who was posing as a child and had her age legally changed. The series examines why scrutiny grew over Grace's age and identity. In Good American Family, Grey's Anatomy's Ellen Pompeo stars as Christine Barnett, the woman who adopted a 7-year-old Natalia in 2010. At the time, Barnett was a rising star in the speaker circuit because of her son Jacob, a physics whiz with autism who made headlines for excelling at school when experts doubted his abilities. In the show, Christine sees Natalia, Imogen Faith Reed, as her next project, and her husband, Michael, Mark Duplass, is ecstatic to finally have a daughter. In 2012, both in real life and in the show, the Barnetts had Natalia's age changed from 8 to 22 and moved her into an apartment to live on her own. Christine and Michael Barnett were both charged with neglecting a dependent. Michael was acquitted, and the charges against Christine were dropped. The real Natalia Grace and Michael Barnett both got to tell their sides of the story in the docuseries The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, the third season of which just aired in January and landed Natalia on the cover of the January 13, 2025 issue of People magazine. Here's a look at a few of the biggest moments in Good American Family and how they match up with what Natalia and the Barnetts have said in past interviews. In the first season of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, Michael Barnett explains why his family wanted to adopt Natalia. "We wanted to help somebody who was in danger of never being loved. But both Natalia and the Barnetts have accused each other of being abusive. The Barnetts have said that Natalia terrorized them, while Natalia has maintained that they were impatient with her, as someone who lives with chronic pain and trauma. At first, the family had a honeymoon period, vacationing at Disneyland with Natalia. But the minute she arrived in her new home, her new parents grew suspicious. In the first season of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, Michael said Christine gave Natalia her first bath in the new house and gasped when she saw Natalia had full pubic hair. He says Natalia admitted to having a period and hiding bloody underwear. About 6 months into living with the Barnetts, he says Natalia would try to urinate on her 6-year-old sibling Ethan, defecate in the car, and smear the waste onto the younger boy. He also claimed that she'd fling the door open when the car was in motion. The Barnetts have said Natalia would take her brother's toys and throw them into the street, even threatening to kill them while they are sleeping. In the docuseries, Jacob Barnett says Natalia hoarded knives in her bedroom. Michael has said that he found Natalia at the edge of his bed holding a knife. Natalia confronts Michael about this story in the docuseries, arguing, "I can't bend my fingers to even grip a knife." She accuses the Barnetts of rehashing a similar scene from the 2009 horror movie Orphan. She claims that, while living with the Barnetts, she was hit with a belt and pepper sprayed, according to People. Good American Family weaves these stories into the plot. In one of the most dramatic scenes in the series, Christine orders Natalia to clean the kitchen and is later surprised when her cup of coffee tastes like cleaning fluid. Natalia is accused of trying to poison Christine, while Natalia says she was having trouble cleaning the kitchen properly because of her short stature. Natalia says in the docuseries that in real life, Christine Barnett staged the poisoning. "The moment ruptured any trust they might have had," says Jacob Barnett. "I can't share a drink with someone. It's rooted in this fear that Natalia is coming to poison us." Christine Barnett did not participate in the docuseries or respond to the production's request for comment. One of the biggest questions to this day is why the Barnetts changed Natalia's age. When the Barnetts adopted her in 2010, she was around 7 years old, but they started to believe she was an adult because she had pubic hair and adult teeth. In Good American Family, Christine makes it her mission to prove Natalia is an adult after noticing a bloody tampon on the floor of their home while she is taping a TV interview. She gets to work lining up doctors to prove Natalia is a 22-year-old adult, then gets her an apartment and makes her live on her own. It's true that an Indiana court did change Natalia Grace's birth year from 2003 to 1989 in 2012 after a detective thought her birth certificate looked fake, according to Michael. Like in the show, the real Natalia was made to live on her own in an apartment. In the docuseries, Natalia opens up about how her apartments were never made fully accessible to her, as she couldn't reach the stove, the shelves, or the mailbox, and didn't have a phone she could use to call for help. A neighbor named Cynthia Mans took her under her wing and invited her to live in her house with her husband Antoine, a Christian pastor, and their 10 children. Natalia moved in with them and they looked after her, formally adopting her in 2023. The docuseries shows Natalia's birth date being changed back to 2003, following a genetics test that concluded she's approximately 22 years old. The second season of the docuseries ends with Natalia confronting her adoptive father, Michael Barnett. "I beat myself up for not being stronger," he tells her. She says that he earned her forgiveness because he came on the show and apologized. Good American Family ends with a version of this one-on-one conversation between Natalia and Michael. In the show, Natalia shows up at Michael's house right after his acquittal and asks why he didn't do more to help her. "I was a kid," she says. "You were supposed to be my dad." Michael tells her that he didn't have the strength. Then, Christine and their son Jacob showed up to the house. Michael is caught off guard because he and Christine are divorced. Indeed, in real life, they split in 2014. In the show, Christine says there was a gas leak where she's staying and asks Michael if they can stay with him. Michael says Jacob can, but not Christine, making clear to Natalia that he is on her side. Jacob, Aaron Potter, turns to Natalia and apologizes for not doing more to stand up for her, and she tells him that it's okay because he was also just a kid. The show ends with Natalia surrounded by the siblings in her new adopted family after Michael has been acquitted. They read out loud the many positive statements about their sister on social media, suggesting that no matter what happened legally with the Barnetts, Natalia won in the court of public opinion. Before the cameras, before the endorsements and the glossy lifestyle blog posts, the Good American Family was not exactly what their name promised. In fact, the truth, buried under layers of public relations polish and airbrushed Thanksgiving portraits, was wilder than fiction. It all began with a goat. Not metaphorical, not spiritual, just an ornery, bearded beast named Moses who lived in the suburban backyard of the Allens, a seemingly average American family. Moses had a habit of headbutting anything with a heartbeat, and his daily outbursts often interrupted family dinners, soccer practices, and once, a PTA meeting that had to be evacuated. The Allens weren't always the Good American Family. That title came later, ironically, at a time when they were at their worst. On paper, they had it all. The charming craftsman house in Vermont, 3 precocious kids, each with their own Etsy store, a Labrador named Liberty, and a Pinterest-worthy vegetable garden. But behind the lattice fence and solar-powered wind chimes, things were chaotic. Patriarch Dan Allen was a former weatherman turned doomsday prepper. After a sudden mid-broadcast meltdown involving a mispronounced barometric, he quit live TV and dedicated his life to building an underground bunker. He spent most of his days shirtless in the garage, muttering about solar flares and dehydrated chili packs. His wife, Meredith, had been a lifestyle influencer before that was even a term. With a knack for curating impossible moments, like breakfast on a canoe, she captured hearts online. But what her 2.3 million followers didn't know was that her entire aesthetic empire was built on credit card debt and mile identity theft. Her sister's recipes mostly. The kids, naturally, followed suit. Emma, 17, had been suspended from school 3 times, once for attempting to genetically modify cafeteria potatoes using her ex's vape pen. Jason, 14, was a conspiracy theorist with a YouTube channel titled The Moon Is a Lie. And little Sophie, 8, hadn't spoken a word in 2 years, but communicated exclusively through interpretive dance and passive-aggressive hand puppets. Enter the Netflix producers. They've been scavenging for a new brand of reality family, quirky, relatable, chaotic, but lovable. When a viral TikTok of Moses, the goat destroying a trampoline, hit 3.4 million views, the producers knew they'd found their stars. Contracts were signed, cameras installed, and just like that, the Allens were rebranded as the Good American Family.